The security camera feed flickered to life on my phone as I tightened the wrench around the truck's oil drain plug. Emily's silver BMW pulled out of our driveway at exactly 7:23 p.m., same as every Tuesday for the past 3 months. She thought I didn't notice patterns anymore, thought 15 years of marriage had made me lazy and stupid. My name is Jack Morrison, and I used to install security systems for a living before I started my own consulting firm. Funny how the skills that once protected our home would become the tools that exposed what was rotting inside it. The text came through at 7:31 p.m., right on schedule. Working late again. Don't wait up, and stop checking on me like I'm your property. I wiped the grease off my hands with an old shop rag and typed back, "You're right. I'm not your husband anymore. Don't come back." Then I did something I'd been planning for weeks. I activated the remote disable on her car's GPS tracker, a little modification I'd made months ago when she started her fitness journey with that pretty boy trainer Ryan. The BMW would shut down in about 20 minutes, right around the time she reached downtown. My 15-year-old daughter Kayla was upstairs doing homework, completely unaware that her world was about to change. I'd tried to shield her from the truth about her mother, but tonight that protection ended. I walked through our house, my house now, and changed every lock. Electronic deadbolts, window sensors, garage door codes. Emily's key fob went into my workshop drawer next to the spare remote for her car. By 8 p.m., she was officially locked out of everything we'd built together. The first call came at 8:17 p.m. I let it ring. The second at 8:19. By 8:30, my phone showed 14 missed calls and a string of increasingly frantic text messages. "Jack, my car just stopped working. This isn't funny. I'm stranded downtown. Answer your phone right now. I know you did something to my car. This is insane." I poured myself a cup of coffee and watched through the kitchen window as our neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, walked her dog past our driveway. She'd always been nosy, always asking Emily about her new workout routine with barely concealed gossip hunger. Perfect. At 8:45 p.m., I called the city towing service. "Hi, this is Jack Morrison on Maple Street. There's an abandoned BMW blocking traffic downtown on 5th and Main. License plate." I rattled off Emily's number. "Looks like the owner just left it there." 20 minutes later, my phone buzzed with a notification from the neighborhood social media app. Mrs. Patterson had posted a video. "Drama on Maple Street. Emily Morrison screaming at a tow truck driver downtown. Anyone know what's going on?" The video showed my wife of 15 years standing in her designer workout clothes, gesturing wildly at the tow truck operator as her BMW got hooked up. Her face was red, her perfect blonde hair disheveled. She looked exactly like what she was, a woman whose carefully constructed life was falling apart in public. I screenshot the post and sent it to her phone with a message. "Smile, honey. You're famous." The response came back immediately. "You psychopath. I'm calling the police." "Go ahead," I typed back. "Tell them how your husband disabled the car he pays for after you admitted to cheating." The typing indicator appeared and disappeared 6 times before she finally sent, "I never admitted anything." That's when I sent her the audio file. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. 3 weeks ago, I'd installed a new smart speaker in our bedroom. Emily thought it was broken because it never responded to her voice commands. It wasn't broken. It was recording. "Ryan, I can't keep doing this." Her voice played crystal clear through the file. "Jack's getting suspicious, and I'm tired of pretending I still love him." "Just leave him," Ryan's voice responded. "You said yourself he's boring. When's the last time he made you feel alive?" "It's complicated. There's Kayla and the house and his business." "You mean his money." Emily's laugh on the recording was cold. "I'm not stupid, Ryan. I've been married to him for 15 years. I deserve half of everything he's built." I'd listened to that conversation a dozen times, each replay carving away another piece of the man I used to be. The man who brought her coffee in bed every morning. The man who worked 60-hour weeks to pay for her Pilates classes and designer clothes. The man who believed her when she said she was finding herself. My phone rang again. This time I answered. "Jack, please." Emily's voice was shaky, probably from standing in the cold downtown air. "Can we talk about this like adults?" "Adults don't cheat on their spouses," I said. "Adults don't lie for months while planning their exit strategy." "I don't know what you think you heard, but I heard everything, Emily. Ryan's apartment on Tuesday nights, the gym sessions that run 3 hours long, the way you come home smelling like his cologne." Silence stretched between us like a chasm. "Where am I supposed to go tonight?" she finally asked. "That's not my problem anymore. Maybe Ryan's place has a couch." I hung up and immediately called my lawyer, David Williams. It was 9 p.m., but David owed me favors from when I'd secured his office building after a break-in last year. "Jack, what's going on?" "I need divorce papers drawn up tonight, and I need to know how to protect my assets." "Slow down. What happened?" I gave him the short version while I uploaded the audio files and security camera footage to a secure cloud drive. David listened without interrupting, his legal mind probably already calculating angles and strategies. "The recording might not be admissible in court," he said when I finished, "but it's leverage. How much evidence do you have?" "Enough to bury her. Credit card receipts, GPS tracking, photos, audio. I've been documenting everything for months." "Good. Don't do anything else tonight. Don't post anything online, don't confront the other man, don't change any more locks. We need to be smart about this." But I was already 3 steps ahead of David's caution. While he talked about legal strategies, I was uploading a carefully edited video to Emily's company's internal social media page. Nothing explicit, nothing that could get me in trouble. Just security camera footage of her leaving our house at 7:23 p.m., time-stamped, followed by her own text message, "Working late again." Then footage of her car pulling into the parking lot of Ryan's apartment complex at 7:41 p.m. The video would go viral within the marketing firm by morning. Emily's career was built on image and reputation. Her boss, Patricia Manning, was a notorious gossip who'd made it clear that personal scandals reflected poorly on the company. My phone buzzed with a text from Kayla. "Dad, Mom's calling me crying. She says you locked her out. What's going on?" I climbed the stairs to my daughter's room and knocked softly. She opened the door wearing pajamas and a confused expression that reminded me painfully of Emily at that age. "Sit down, sweetheart. We need to talk." Kayla perched on the edge of her bed, clutching her phone. "Mom says you're having some kind of breakdown." "Your mother has been lying to both of us," I said gently. "She's been seeing someone else." "That's not true." But Kayla's voice wavered. I showed her the security footage on my phone. "This is her leaving for work tonight, and this is her arriving at Ryan's apartment." Kayla stared at the screen, her face cycling through disbelief, hurt, and anger. "She's been cheating on you?" "For months. I'm sorry you have to find out this way." "Where is she now?" "Downtown, figuring out her next move. She made her choice, Kayla. Now she gets to live with it." My daughter was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "I knew something was wrong. She's been different lately. Happier, but not about us. This isn't your fault, and it's not about you. Your mother and I have problems that go way beyond tonight." "Are you getting divorced?" "Yes." Kayla nodded slowly. "Can I stay with you?" "As long as you want." After I tucked Kayla in and assured her that everything would be okay, I went back to my workshop and opened my laptop. Emily's social media profiles were already lighting up with concerned comments from friends who'd seen the video. Her sister Jennifer had posted, "Call me immediately." I poured another cup of coffee and settled in for a long night. Emily thought she knew me, thought 15 years of marriage had made me predictable. She thought I'd roll over and let her take half of everything I'd built while she ran off with her trainer. She was about to learn that the quiet, steady husband she'd taken for granted was also the man who'd spent 2 decades learning how to find people's secrets and use them. My phone showed 37 missed calls from Emily and a dozen text messages I didn't bother reading. Tomorrow, she'd try to come home. Tomorrow, she'd realize that her key didn't work and her garage door remote was useless. Tomorrow, her coworkers would start asking questions about the video. But tonight, I sat in my workshop, surrounded by the tools of my trade: cameras, recording equipment, GPS trackers, and 15 years' worth of evidence that my wife had underestimated the wrong man. The war was just beginning. The next morning started with a phone call from my best friend Neil Rodriguez, Neil Thompson. He ran a boxing gym downtown where I'd been working out since the divorce thoughts first started eating at my brain 3 months ago. "Jack, you crazy son of a gun. Emily's been calling here looking for you." I was making breakfast for Kayla, trying to maintain some normalcy, while my phone buzzed with increasingly desperate messages from my wife. "What did you tell her?" "That you haven't been by yet today," which was true at the time. But Jack, she sounded different. Dangerous. Neil had 20 years as a city cop before he opened the gym. When he said someone sounded dangerous, I listened. Dangerous how? Cornered animal dangerous. She's not just angry about being locked out. She's scared, and scared people do unpredictable things. I flipped Kayla's pancakes and considered this. Emily had always been calculating, always thinking 3 moves ahead. If she was scared, it meant she was planning something big. "Dad?" Kayla appeared in the kitchen doorway, already dressed for school. "There are people outside." I looked through the window and saw a news van parked across the street. Mrs. Patterson was standing in her yard, clearly enjoying her 15 minutes of fame as she pointed toward our house. "Great," I muttered. My phone rang. David Williams, my lawyer. "Jack, we have a problem. Emily filed a restraining order this morning. She's claiming you're unstable and potentially violent." "Based on what evidence?" "She says you sabotaged her car, locked her out of her home, and posted private information online without consent. The judge granted a temporary order. You can't contact her directly, and if she shows up at the house with police escort to collect her belongings, you have to let her in." I felt the first crack in my carefully constructed plan. "She's playing victim." "It's a smart move. She's getting ahead of the narrative before your evidence comes to light. There's more, Jack. She's hired Patricia Stevens." I knew that name. Patricia Stevens was the most ruthless divorce attorney in the city, famous for destroying husbands and taking their assets. She was expensive, which meant Emily was serious about this fight. "How is she paying for Stevens?" "Good question. Emily's salary couldn't cover Stevens' retainer. That meant Ryan was funding this, or Emily had access to money I didn't know about. Both possibilities worried me. After I dropped Kayla at school, I drove to Neil's gym to clear my head and plan my next move. The familiar smell of sweat and leather helped me focus. Neil was training a young fighter on the heavy bag, calling out combinations with the patience of a good teacher. "She came by an hour ago," Neil said when the kid took a water break. "Emily. Asking if you'd been acting strange lately, if you'd made any threats." "What did you tell her?" "The truth. That you've been working out harder than usual, but you've never said anything violent. But Jack, she was recording our conversation on her phone. Emily was building a case. Every interaction, every conversation was being documented to support her narrative that I was unstable. She was better at this game than I'd given her credit for." "There's something else," Neil continued. "I made some calls to guys I know on the force. Emily's been busy. She filed a report claiming you've been stalking her, following her around town. I installed a GPS tracker in her car. It's not illegal. I own the car. Doesn't matter how it looks to a judge. She's painting you as a controlling, obsessive husband who snapped when she tried to leave. I worked the heavy bag for 30 minutes, letting my frustration fuel each punch. Emily was rewriting history, turning my methodical evidence gathering into stalking, my justified anger into instability. She was good at manipulation. It's how she'd hidden her affair for months. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "This is Ryan. We need to talk." I stared at the message, considering my options. Meeting with Emily's lover was probably exactly what she wanted, more evidence of my unstable behavior. But I was curious about what the pretty boy had to say. I texted back, "Murphy's Bar, 3 p.m. Come alone." Murphy's was a dive bar near the industrial district, the kind of place where conversations didn't get overheard and security cameras were more decorative than functional. I arrived early and chose a corner booth with a clear view of the entrance. Ryan walked in at exactly 3 p.m., looking like he'd stepped out of a fitness magazine. Tall, lean muscle, perfect hair, the kind of guy who'd never worked a real job in his life. He was younger than me by at least 10 years, with the confident swagger of someone who'd never faced real consequences. "Jack Morrison," he said, sliding into the booth across from me. "I've heard a lot about you." "I bet you have. Emily's been sharing our personal business for months." Ryan ordered a craft beer from the waitress, making a show of reading the label. "Look, I know this situation is complicated." "Complicated?" I kept my voice level, but I could feel Neil's boxing lessons in the way my shoulders tensed. "You've been sleeping with my wife. That's not complicated. That's simple. Emily and I didn't plan for this to happen. Sometimes people just connect, you know?" The casual way he dismissed 15 years of marriage made my hands clench into fists under the table. "How long?" "Does it matter?" "It matters to me." Ryan took a long sip of his beer, probably buying time to decide how much truth to tell. 6 months, maybe 7. 7 months. While I was working 60-hour weeks to pay for Emily's self-improvement phase, she was falling in love with someone else. While I was bringing her coffee in bed and asking about her day, she was planning her exit strategy. "She's going to leave you," Ryan continued. "This whole thing with the locks and the car, you're just making it harder on everyone." "Everyone?" "Emily, your daughter, yourself. This doesn't have to be ugly, Jack. Emily's not trying to hurt you." I laughed, a sound with no humor in it. "She hired Patricia Stevens. That's not someone you hire when you want to play nice." Ryan's confidence flickered for just a moment. "Emily's scared. You've been tracking her, recording her conversations, sabotaging her car. She had to protect herself." "Protect herself from what? From facing consequences for her choices?" "From you. Emily says you've changed, that you've become obsessive and controlling." I leaned forward, letting him see the anger I'd been holding back. "I've become aware. There's a difference." Ryan set down his beer and tried to look sincere. "Look, I know you're hurt, but Emily's made her choice. You can make this easy on everyone, or you can make it hard, but the outcome's going to be the same." "Is that a threat?" "It's reality. Emily's moving on. You should too." I stood up, dropping a 20 on the table. "Tell Emily that I got her message. And Ryan, next time she wants to negotiate, she can send her lawyer. I'm done talking to the help." Ryan's face flushed red, but he didn't follow me out of the bar. As I walked to my truck, I could feel him watching through the window. Emily had sent him to intimidate me, to make me feel small and defeated. Instead, she'd shown me exactly how scared they both were. That evening, I sat in my workshop going through Emily's credit card statements from the past year. I'd been paying the bills without really looking at them, trusting my wife to manage our household expenses. Now I saw the pattern I'd missed. Expensive dinners at restaurants we'd never been to together. Hotel charges in the city when Emily claimed to be at work conferences. A jewelry store purchase for $800 in March. I'd never seen the necklace. Charges at Victoria's Secret every few weeks, but Emily hadn't worn anything new to bed in months. She'd been using my money to fund her affair. I photographed every suspicious charge and uploaded them to the secure folder I was building for David. Then I did something Emily wouldn't expect. I called her sister Jennifer. Jack? Oh my God, what's going on? Emily called me crying last night. Jennifer lived in Chicago and only visited twice a year, but she'd always been the reasonable one in Emily's family. If anyone could see through Emily's victim act, it would be her sister. Did Emily tell you she's been having an affair? Silence. Then, she said you were accusing her of cheating, but that you were paranoid and controlling. I have recordings, Jennifer. Security camera footage, credit card receipts. She's been lying to both of us. I don't understand. Emily said you just snapped one day and started stalking her. I emailed Jennifer the audio file while we talked. Listen to this and tell me who's lying. 5 minutes later, Jennifer called back. Oh, Jack, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. She's hired a lawyer and filed a restraining order. She's trying to take half of everything while painting me as an abusive husband. That's not the Emily I know. It's the Emily I married. I just didn't see it before. Jennifer was quiet for a moment. What can I do to help? Tell me about Emily's finances. She hired Patricia Stevens, and that's a $50,000 retainer minimum. Where did she get that kind of money? I don't know, but Jack, there's something you should know. Emily called me 3 months ago asking about Dad's will. Emily's father had passed away 2 years ago, leaving a modest inheritance that Emily claimed had been spent on home improvements. But now I wondered if she'd been hiding money, preparing for this moment. How much did she inherit? $80,000. She said you two used it to renovate the kitchen. We'd renovated the kitchen with money from my business loan. Emily had hidden $80,000 from me for 2 years. After I hung up with Jennifer, I sat in my workshop staring at the evidence I'd compiled. Emily wasn't just cheating, she was planning. The affair with Ryan, the hidden money, the carefully constructed narrative about my behavior. She'd been preparing for this divorce long before I discovered the truth, but Emily had made one crucial mistake. She thought I was the same trusting husband who'd believed her lies for months. She thought I'd roll over and let her take everything. Tomorrow, she'd learn that the man she'd underestimated was just getting started. The restraining order meant I couldn't contact Emily directly, but it didn't stop me from investigating the life she'd been hiding from me. I started with Ryan. His full name was Ryan Mitchell, 28 years old, originally from California. He'd moved to our city 18 months ago and started working at Elite Fitness, the upscale gym where Emily had begun her transformation. On paper, he looked clean, no criminal record, decent credit, typical social media presence full of workout videos and motivational quotes. But I'd learned long ago that people's real secrets weren't usually found in official records. I drove to Elite Fitness during the lunch hour when the place would be busy. The gym was all glass and chrome, filled with expensive equipment and members who looked like they'd stepped out of fitness magazines. Ryan was easy to spot. He was training a middle-aged woman on the leg press, standing closer than necessary, and flashing the kind of smile that probably worked on lonely housewives. I signed up for a guest pass and spent an hour observing. Ryan worked with 3 different female clients during that time, and his pattern was consistent. Unnecessary physical contact during exercises, personal conversation that had nothing to do with fitness, and that same practiced smile that had probably charmed Emily. Can I help you? The voice belonged to a young woman with short dark hair and skeptical eyes. Her name tag read, Jessica Manager. I'm thinking about joining, I said. That trainer over there, Ryan, he seems popular. Jessica's expression soured slightly. Ryan's very dedicated to his clients. Is there a problem with him? She glanced around to make sure we weren't overheard. Let's just say Ryan has a reputation for getting too involved with married clients. Management's been keeping an eye on the situation. Has anyone complained? Not officially, but 3 marriages have ended since Ryan started working here. Could be coincidence, but... I thanked Jessica and left the gym with a new understanding. Emily wasn't Ryan's first married conquest. He was a predator who targeted vulnerable wives, and my wife had walked right into his trap. That afternoon, I met David Williams at his office to review our strategy. He'd been busy since our last conversation, and the news wasn't encouraging. "Emily's playing hardball," David said, spreading documents across his conference table. "She's asking for half of everything, including your business. She's claiming she contributed to your success by managing the household and supporting your career. She spent most of our marriage shopping and complaining about being bored. Doesn't matter. In this state, marriage is considered an economic partnership. Unless we can prove she's not entitled to half, she's going to get it." David showed me Emily's financial affidavit, and I felt my stomach drop. She was claiming assets I didn't know existed, a savings account with $30,000, investment accounts, even a claim that she'd contributed money to my business startup. "This is all lies," I said. "I started my business with a loan and my own savings." "Can you prove that?" "Of course. I have all the bank records." "Good. Because Emily's lawyer is painting a picture of a wife who sacrificed her own career to support her husband's dreams. They're claiming she deserves compensation for her contributions." I studied Emily's affidavit more carefully. She was claiming she'd given up a promising marketing career to support my business, that she'd entertained clients and managed our household to free me up for work. Some of it was technically true, but it ignored the reality that Emily had never wanted to work full-time and had been happy to live off my income. "There's something else," David continued. "Emily's requesting full custody of Kayla." "On what grounds?" "She's claiming you're emotionally unstable and potentially dangerous. The car sabotage, the security cameras, the social media posts, she's using all of it to paint you as a controlling husband who might harm his family." I felt the walls closing in. Emily was better at this game than I'd anticipated. Every move I'd made in anger, she was turning into evidence against me. "What about the affair? Doesn't that count for something?" "Adultery isn't grounds for denying custody unless it directly affects the child. And Emily's lawyer is claiming the affair was a result of your controlling behavior, not the cause of the marriage breakdown." I left David's office feeling like I was losing a war I'd started. Emily had turned my justified anger into evidence of instability, my evidence gathering into stalking, my reaction to her betrayal into proof that I was the real villain. That evening, I picked up Kayla from school and tried to act normal, but she could tell something was wrong. "Dad, are you okay? You seem stressed." We were sitting in our kitchen, sharing a pizza and trying to pretend our world wasn't falling apart. Kayla had been handling the situation better than I'd expected, but I could see the strain in her eyes. "Your mother's lawyer is asking for full custody," I said gently. "That means she wants you to live with her primarily." Kayla's face went pale. "I don't want to live with Mom, not after what she did." "It might not be up to us, sweetheart. The court will decide what's best." "That's not fair. Mom's the one who cheated. Why should she get to take me away from you?" I didn't have a good answer. The legal system didn't care about fairness or justice. It cared about what looked good on paper. And on paper, Emily was building a compelling case that I was an unfit father. "We're going to fight this," I promised, "but it might get ugly." Kayla was quiet for a moment, then said something that surprised me. "Dad, I want to help." "Help how?" "I know things about Mom, things she doesn't think I noticed." "Like what?" "Like how she's been lying about where she goes, and how she's been different lately, meaner, and how she told me not to tell you about the phone calls." "What phone calls?" "Ryan's been calling the house phone when you're at work. Mom told me it was about her fitness program, but they weren't talking about exercise." I felt a spark of hope. Kayla had been witnessing Emily's deception firsthand, and her testimony could be powerful in court. "Would you be willing to tell a judge what you've seen?" "If it means I get to stay with you, yes." That night, After Kayla went to bed, I sat in my workshop planning my next move. Emily thought she was winning because she'd gotten ahead of the narrative, but she'd made a crucial mistake. She'd underestimated our daughter. Kayla wasn't just a pawn in this chess game. She was a witness to Emily's lies. And unlike the adults in this situation, Kayla had no reason to lie or manipulate. Her testimony could cut through Emily's carefully constructed victim narrative. But using my daughter as a weapon against her mother felt wrong, even if Emily deserved it. I needed another approach, something that would expose Emily's true character without putting Kayla in the middle. I opened my laptop and started researching Ryan Mitchell more thoroughly. If he was a serial predator who targeted married women, there might be other victims willing to speak up. And if I could prove that Emily's affair was part of a pattern of predatory behavior, it might change how the court viewed the situation. It was past midnight when I found what I was looking for. A divorce filing from California 18 months ago. Ryan Mitchell named as co-respondent in an adultery case. The wife, Linda Martinez, had accused Ryan of deliberately targeting her marriage and manipulating her into an affair. The case had been settled out of court, but the filing was public record. Ryan had done this before, and he'd left a trail of broken marriages behind him. I printed everything and added it to my evidence file. Emily might think she was in love, but she was just another victim in Ryan's pattern of predation, and when I was done investigating, everyone would know the truth about both of them. The war was far from over. 3 days after my meeting with Ryan, Emily made her first mistake. She came to the house. I was in my workshop when the doorbell rang, followed by insistent knocking. Through the security camera, I could see Emily standing on our front porch with 2 police officers. She was wearing her innocent victim outfit, conservative dress, minimal makeup, the kind of look designed to gain sympathy. I opened the door but stayed behind the screen, keeping a barrier between us. "Ma'am, we're here to escort you while you collect some personal belongings," one of the officers said. He was young, probably new to domestic situations. His partner looked more experienced and slightly skeptical. "Of course," I said politely. "Emily, you have 30 minutes to get what you need." Emily brushed past me without making eye contact, but I could smell Ryan's cologne on her clothes. She'd come here straight from his apartment, probably hoping to provoke a reaction she could use in court. I followed at a distance as she went through our bedroom, packing clothes and personal items. She was taking more than she needed, including jewelry I'd bought her for anniversaries and birthdays. Everything that represented our marriage was going into her suitcase. "I need to get some things from the office," Emily said, heading toward my workshop. "That's my business space. You don't have anything in there." The older police officer stepped forward. "Sir, if she has personal items—" "She doesn't. That's where I keep client files and security equipment. She has no reason to be in there." Emily's face flushed with anger. "I have every right to access all areas of this house." "Actually, you don't. The restraining order works both ways. You can collect personal belongings, not conduct fishing expeditions." For just a moment, Emily's mask slipped, and I saw the calculating woman underneath. She'd hoped to get into my workshop, probably to look for evidence she could use against me, or to plant something that would support her claims about my behavior. "Fine," she said coldly, "but I'm taking the photo albums. The family photos belong to both of us. You can make copies." "Those are my memories too." "Then you should have thought about that before you decided to destroy our family." The younger officer looked uncomfortable with our exchange, but his partner seemed to understand that this was about more than photo albums. Emily was trying to take everything that mattered, leaving me with nothing but the shell of our former life. After Emily left with her belongings, I checked every room carefully. She hadn't just taken clothes and jewelry, she'd taken things that had sentimental value. The watch I'd given her for our 10th anniversary, the necklace she'd worn on our wedding day, even the coffee mug I'd bought her during our honeymoon, but she'd also left things behind, and that's when I realized her real purpose for coming to the house. In our bedroom, tucked under the mattress where I might not find it for weeks, was a small digital recorder. Emily had been trying to bug our house. I called David immediately. She what? Planted a recording device. If I hadn't found it, she would have had audio of everything I said in private. Phone calls with you, conversations with Kayla, everything. That's illegal surveillance. We can use this. There's more. She tried to get into my workshop where I keep client files. I think she's looking for something she can use to damage my business reputation. David was quiet for a moment. Jack, Emily's playing a much more sophisticated game than we initially thought. This isn't just about divorce. She's trying to destroy you completely. That evening, I sat down with Kayla to discuss what had happened. Mom was here today, I said. She took most of her belongings. I know. I saw her car when I got home from school. Did she ask about me? The question broke my heart. Emily had spent 2 hours in our house and hadn't asked about her daughter once. She was focused on packing, I said diplomatically. She doesn't care about me anymore, does she? Now that she has Ryan. I pulled Kayla into a hug. Your mother loves you. She's just confused right now. But privately, I was beginning to wonder if Emily was capable of loving anyone besides herself. The woman who'd planted a recording device in our bedroom wasn't the woman I'd married. Or maybe she was, and I'd just been too blind to see it. The next morning, I decided to take a more aggressive approach. If Emily wanted to play dirty, I'd show her what dirty really looked like. I started with her workplace. Elite Marketing Solutions prided itself on family values and community involvement. Their website featured photos of team-building events and charity fundraisers, all designed to project an image of wholesome professionalism. I created a simple presentation using publicly available information. Emily's LinkedIn profile showing her as a devoted wife and mother. Photos from the company website of Emily at family-friendly events. And then, security camera footage of her car at Ryan's apartment complex during work hours. I didn't include audio recordings or anything that could be considered private. Just timestamps showing that Emily was consistently somewhere other than where she claimed to be during business hours. I emailed the presentation to Patricia Manning, Emily's boss, with a simple message. I thought you should know that Emily Morrison has been conducting personal business during work hours. As her husband, I'm concerned about her professional reputation. The response came within an hour. Mr. Morrison, thank you for bringing this to my attention. We take employee conduct seriously at Elite Marketing Solutions. By noon, Emily was calling me from a blocked number. You bastard, she hissed when I answered. Patricia put me on administrative leave. I have a restraining order against you. You're not supposed to contact me. You're trying to destroy my career. I'm trying to save my marriage. Oh wait, that's right. You already destroyed it. This is harassment, Jack. My lawyer will hear about this. Good. Tell Patricia Stevens that her client has been stealing time from her employer to conduct an extramarital affair. I'm sure that will help your case. Emily hung up, but I knew she'd call back. She was losing control of the narrative, and desperate people made mistakes. That afternoon, I received a call from an unknown number. When I answered, a woman's voice said, Is this Jack Morrison? Who's asking? My name is Linda Martinez. I think we need to talk about Ryan Mitchell. Linda was the woman from California whose marriage had been destroyed by Ryan. She'd seen my name in connection with him through mutual social media contacts and decided to reach out. Ryan's a predator, she told me when we met for coffee. He targets married women specifically. He gets off on destroying families. How did he target you? Same way he probably got your wife. I joined his gym, he became my trainer, then my confidant. He made me feel special, like I was trapped in a loveless marriage and deserved better. Linda was attractive and seemed intelligent, the kind of woman who wouldn't normally fall for obvious manipulation. How long did it take? 3 months from trainer to affair. Another 2 months before I left my husband. Ryan convinced me that my marriage was holding me back, that I needed to be brave enough to pursue happiness. What happened after you left your husband? Linda's expression turned bitter. Ryan lost interest as soon as the divorce was final. Turned out he was already working on his next target. I lost my husband, my home, and half my savings for a man who discarded me the moment I was available. Would you be willing to testify about Ryan's pattern of behavior? Absolutely. That man destroyed my life, and I don't want him doing it to other families. I left the coffee shop with new ammunition. Emily thought she was in love, but she was just Ryan's latest victim. And when I was finished, everyone would know exactly what kind of man she'd chosen over her family. The trap was set. Now I just had to wait for Emily and Ryan to walk into it. The opportunity came sooner than I expected. Emily's sister Jennifer called me with information that changed everything. Jack, I've been thinking about Emily's behavior, and I remembered something. When we were kids, Emily used to lie constantly. Not little lies. Elaborate stories designed to get her out of trouble or make herself look better. What kind of stories? She once convinced our parents that her teacher was picking on her because she was too smart. Turns out, Emily had been cheating on tests, and the teacher was trying to help her. But Emily's version made her the victim. Jennifer's words hit me like a revelation. Emily's current behavior wasn't new. It was a pattern that went back to childhood. She'd always been willing to lie and manipulate to get what she wanted. There's something else, Jennifer continued. I called Dad's lawyer about the inheritance. Emily didn't just hide $80,000 from you. She's been moving money around for over a year, setting up accounts you don't know about. How much money are we talking about? At least $200,000. She's been skimming from your joint accounts and hiding it in investment funds under her maiden name. Emily hadn't just been planning an affair, she'd been planning a complete financial betrayal. While I was working to support our family, she was systematically stealing our assets and preparing for her exit. I immediately called David with this information. If we can prove Emily's been hiding assets, it changes everything, he said. Financial fraud during marriage is serious. We can not only recover the money, but use it to challenge her credibility in the custody hearing. What do we need to prove it? Bank records, investment statements, anything showing money transfers. Can Jennifer get documentation from the inheritance lawyer? Within 24 hours, I had a paper trail showing Emily's deception. She'd been moving money out of our joint accounts in small amounts over 18 months, always staying under the threshold that would trigger automatic notifications. The woman I'd trusted with our finances had been robbing me blind, but Emily's biggest mistake was yet to come. On Friday evening, I received a call from Jessica, the manager at Elite Fitness. Mr. Morrison, I think you should know that Ryan Mitchell was fired today. What happened? A client complained that he'd made inappropriate advances. When we investigated, we found out he'd been using the gym's client database to target married women. Your wife wasn't his only victim. Is the client willing to make a formal complaint? She already has. Ryan's been banned from the premises, and we're considering legal action for misuse of client information. Emily's perfect boyfriend was a predator who'd been fired for targeting vulnerable women. I wondered if she knew yet, or if Ryan was hiding this latest development from her. I didn't have to wait long to find out. Saturday morning, I was having coffee in my kitchen when I saw Emily's car pull into our driveway. She got out alone, looking disheveled and angry. She rang the doorbell repeatedly, then started pounding on the door. Jack, I know you're in there. We need to talk. I opened the door, but kept the screen locked between us. You have a restraining order against me. You're not supposed to be here. Ryan's gone, she said, and I could see tears in her eyes. He left town yesterday without telling me. So the predator had moved on to his next hunting ground, leaving Emily to face the consequences of her choices alone. That's not my problem anymore, Emily. You don't understand. He took money I gave him. What money? I lent him $50,000 for his business. He said he was opening his own gym. I almost laughed. Emily had stolen money from our marriage to fund her lover's con game, and now she was the victim of her own greed. "Let me get this straight," I said. "You stole money from our joint accounts, hid it from me for months, then gave it to your boyfriend who's now disappeared? It wasn't stealing. It was my money too." "No, Emily. It was our money. Money I earned while you were planning to betray our family." Emily's face crumpled, and for a moment she looked like the woman I'd married 20 years ago. "Jack, I made a mistake. I know that now. But we can fix this." "Fix what? The affair? The lies? The theft? The restraining order? Which part exactly did you want to fix?" "All of it. I was confused and Ryan took advantage of that. But I see clearly now." I studied my wife's face, looking for any sign of genuine remorse. What I saw instead was calculation. Emily wasn't sorry about betraying me. She was sorry about getting caught and losing her safety net. "Where are you living now?" I asked. "I've been staying at a hotel, but I can't afford it much longer. My job is in jeopardy because of what you did." "What I did was tell the truth. You were conducting an affair during work hours using company resources." "Jack, please. I'm your wife. We have a daughter together. We can work through this." "I'm not your husband anymore, Emily. You made that clear when you chose Ryan over our family." I started to close the door, but Emily grabbed the screen door handle. "You can't just throw away 15 years of marriage." "I'm not throwing it away. You already did that. I'll fight you for custody. I'll take Kayla and you'll never see her again." The threat was a mistake. Emily's mask had slipped again, showing me the vindictive woman who'd been hiding behind the victim act. "Try it," I said calmly. "Explain to a judge how you stole $200,000 from your family to fund an affair with a predator who targeted married women. Explain how you planted recording devices in our home and tried to destroy my business. Explain how you abandoned your daughter to chase after a con man who disappeared with your money." Emily's face went white. "How did you know about the money?" "I know everything, Emily. The hidden accounts, the inheritance you lied about, the systematic theft from our marriage. I know about Ryan's pattern of targeting married women and his history of destroying families. I know about the other women he's been seeing while he was supposedly in love with you." "That's not true." I pulled out my phone and showed her photos I'd obtained from Linda Martinez. Ryan with different women at various locations, all taken during the time he was supposedly committed to Emily. "Your boyfriend is a serial predator who targets lonely wives, takes their money, and moves on. You were just another mark, Emily." Emily stared at the photos, her face cycling through disbelief, hurt, and rage. "You're lying. Call him. See if he answers his phone." Emily pulled out her phone and dialed. I could hear it go straight to voicemail. She tried 3 more times with the same result. "He's probably busy," she said weakly. "He's probably in another city, setting up his next con. Face it, Emily. You destroyed our marriage for a man who never cared about you." Emily's shoulders sagged as the reality of her situation hit her. She'd lost her husband, her lover, her job, and her money. She was alone with nothing but the consequences of her choices. "What happens now?" she asked quietly. "Now you face the truth about what you've done. You sign the divorce papers, return the money you stole, and hope I don't press charges for fraud." "And Kayla?" "Kayla gets to decide who she wants to live with, but I think we both know what she'll choose." Emily looked toward the house, probably hoping to see our daughter. But Kayla was at a friend's house, safely away from this confrontation. "I never meant for it to go this far," Emily said. "Yes, you did. You planned every step of this betrayal. The only thing you didn't plan for was getting caught." Emily walked back to her car without another word. As she drove away, I realized that our marriage was truly over, not because of the divorce papers or the legal proceedings, but because I finally saw Emily for who she really was. She wasn't the victim of a predatory trainer or a woman who'd made a mistake. She was a calculating manipulator who'd been willing to destroy her family for money and excitement. The woman I'd loved had never really existed. I went back into my house now, and called Kayla. "Dad? How did it go? It's over, sweetheart. Your mother finally understands that actions have consequences. Is she coming back? No, she's going to have to figure out her own life now. Good, Kayla said, and I could hear the relief in her voice. I was afraid you might take her back. Never. I'm not her husband anymore, and I never will be again. As I hung up the phone, I felt something I hadn't experienced in months. Peace. The war was over, and I'd won not through violence or revenge, but by simply refusing to let Emily rewrite history.